Hi, and welcome to Mechanical Mashup episode 27. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a hot wire foam cutter for less than $20. This has been done on the net many times before, and we will leave links on our Facebook page for Instructables and Wonder How To, two of our favorite websites. But then I'm going to show you how my impatience and laziness helped me come up with a new twist on this. So a hot wire foam cutter is a device with a wire that heats up to cut foam. Really? Sorry, if you have ever cut styrofoam with a regular knife, you will know that it's very messy and does not leave a great finish. For this project, you need a power supply, a base or handles depending on what you're working on, and most importantly, some nichrome wire. Or do you? I got the power supply by buying an old battery charger from a garage sale. I paid about $10 for it. For my version of this project, the older the power supply, the better, because my version is pretty hard on it and older tends to be more robust. The frame I made from some scrap MDF or medium density fiberboard I had lying around. MDF is good because it is cheap, will not warp, and is nice and smooth. I would suggest that you pre-drill all your screw holes. You will note that the base ends up looking kind of like a scroll saw. To clamp your wire, you can use screws and washers, vice grips, or if you found yourself inside a nuclear power plant one day and were really bored, you could borrow one of their milling machines and make your own awesome adjustable clamps just like I did. You can buy nichrome wire on eBay or even some electronics retailers, but when I start a project, I can be very impatient. I didn't want to wait for the wire to come in the mail. I started looking around my shop and my house for something else that might work. Lo and behold, my favorite thing to build with is my stainless steel TIG welding wire. This stuff is just so handy to have around. And to be honest, it's not the first time I've used it as a resistor. It is thin, 1/16 of an inch, and has enough resistance that it will heat up when current is run through it. But have you ever seen a hot wire cutter that can cut profiles? The stainless wire can be bent into shapes that hold even when heated up. The nichrome wire is stretched tight and can't do this. Now technically I'm shorting out my power supply, and it even sounds like it's not good for it. It goes oh, oh. But hey, it works, and it cuts the foam. And I've used it many times without the power supply catching on fire, and even if it does, I'll just go buy another $10 one. Here you can see I'm cutting a straight line by using a piece of steel clamped to the table. If your foam is cutting too slow, or if you think you're being too hard on your power supply, you can adjust the length of the wire to add or subtract resistance. You can see here I have the wire bent along the arm and the power supply connection is behind the clamp. Here I'm cutting a profile. You want the wire nice and hot for this because if you push too hard against the bent wire, it will flux a bit, changing the shape of your cut. Now it's time to get fancy. Start by drilling a 1/16 inch hole in the table away from the wire. Push a hot profiled wire into a block of foam. Then push a piece of scrap wire up into the hole. You can now rotate the block and it will spin on the scrap wire while the hot wire cuts a nice circle. Break your piece out of the surrounding foam and cool. This is even so easy I have let my kids use it, under supervision of course. If you touch the wire, you would probably just get a blister, so it's pretty safe. Just use proper ventilation. Now how cool can we get with this hot wire cutter? How about curved 3D shapes like this fiberglass skateboard mold I'm working on? Here is how I did it. I made cardboard templates for the side profile of the board. Using a handle version of the cutter and a carefully curved wire, I cut the foam block long ways. I now have two pieces of foam with interesting curves in it, but nothing that looks like a skateboard yet. I pinned the pieces back together with short scraps of the stainless steel wire. I told you this stuff was handy. Then, using a template shape on top, I used the table cutter to make another cut. Here it is in action. I now have 4 pieces. Leave a slight offset when putting them back and pin or glue them in place. This creates the mold cavity, and you can make the mold now to create a 3-dimensional contoured board to become something like this. Now, what if you don't have any stainless steel TIG wire? If you buy it from a welding supply store, they will want to sell you $100 worth as a minimum. But I would bet that if you went to your local welding shop and knocked on the door about lunchtime holding a small, hot, steamy pizza, I'll bet they'll gladly trade you for a handful of TIG rods. I know that would work on me. Hang on a sec. So thanks for coming out for episode 27 of Mechanical Mashup. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter. Or Ben. See you next time.